Thank you for joining me. So tonight we are going to talk about how to actually build a successful business that can reach 6 or 7 figures, even if you are working a full-time job. So, if you don't know, my name is Malcolm X Bowser. I've been an entrepreneur since 2016. I went full time in 2018, all the way up until I think August of this year. Right? And the reason is because I had to go get a job. I had to dust off my resume, but at the same time, I am still running my business. And the reason why I'm actually more confident that we could do what we did um before in our business, we could do it even more, because what we did before was we reached $1.2 million in revenue generated, right? And I really feel like now, with all of the lessons that we've learned, the skills that we've gained along the way, we can do that in a faster time. And I can even, I'm doing it with a full-time job now. So um, I've recognized that with a lot of people that I speak to, when they're trying to build a business, when they reach out to me and they want to build a business and they want help with building their business that's already existed, they need some help. They say, "Yeah, Michael, I have a job. I don't know if I could, um, dedicate the time and effort that it takes to actually build something sustainable, to actually build something successful." And I'm saying, "Yo, you sure can." And I'm doing it, and I'm going to show you how to do it as well. Okay. So tonight we're going to cover how, because somebody even asked me earlier, how to choose a business model that will make some money. I'm going to show you the 5 pillars to building a 7-figure business. I'm going to tell you what to focus on first. And we're going to talk about some things that a lot of people won't discuss when it comes to this entrepreneurial, I'm sorry, I'm hot, this entrepreneurial space, that is, setting some realistic goals, some realistic timelines, and some just landmines you just kind of need to look out for, because business can be tough. It absolutely can be. But when you know what to look out for, when you have the right mindset around it, meaning you don't, want to rush your success. You don't want to take shortcuts. You want to actually build something sustainable that actually lasts. Then it takes a certain mindset to get there. It takes a certain level of patience. You need to be like aggressively patient, right? And some people might think you're being slow. Your subconscious might tell you that you're not moving fast enough, that you're not doing what you need to do. But when you just kind of take these actions every day in your business, or even in your life, because that translates directly to your business. When you take these steps, you'll see the direct correlation between you and building your business. Okay. So first, let's get started. Now, how to choose your business model. This is something that a lot of people get stuck with off the bat. They don't know what to sell. They're on the internet, they're on TikTok, they're on YouTube, they're on Instagram. They are flooded with information. They are flooded with things to sell, and everybody makes everything look really cool, right? So sell this. It's easy. Sell online courses. It's easy. Sell t-shirts. It's easy. Sell this. It's easy. Sell planners. It's easy. Write your own book. It's easy. None of it is easy. Okay, so I just want to get that out right now. None of it is easy. They all have their pros and cons. That's why I don't want to tell you exactly what to sell. But I'm gonna let you know up front. We've sold physical products. Like, I have my own book here. We've sold planners, our own planners, right? We've also sold hoodies, hats, shirts. So we've sold everything. I'm sorry, it's really hot. I don't know. Okay. So we've sold everything, right? We've also sold digital products. We sold memberships. We sold courses. We sold coaching. We sold services where we've done a service for somebody. We've done events for people. We've done sweet 16s and stuff like that. Like, we've sold a lot of different things. Okay. So I'm going to talk about the pros and cons that goes into all of them, right? So some pros when it comes to physical products. Now with the internet, a lot of people are a lot more, they're not trusted. They're a lot more distrusting or mistrusting. I don't know what's the word, of digital products now, because they've probably been scammed by somebody in the past. they've seen the internet gurus pop up with, the Lambos and stuff like that, and they say, hey, sell a $10 ebook and make $1 million or something like that, right? So you've all probably heard that pitch somewhere along the line. Now, what they don't tell you is, like, a lot of times it takes a lot of legwork to get to that point to be able to sell digital products, right? So that is a con for that. But a pro for physical products is when people order their stuff, when they want their stuff, it's just a great thing to have. And there's a lot more monetary value placed on a physical product because they just kind of have it. They feel it. It's there. Here's my shirt. Here's my planner. Here is, my water bottle. If you have a water, whatever it is that you sell. So people place a lot of value on physical things. Now, a con here is inventory. You have to spend money to actually make that. And you will always have to keep up with inventory. There's shipping. There's sometimes things get lost in the mail. Many times people will give you the wrong address, their own address. They'll put in their own address wrong. It's happened, and you can't be mad at the customer. You just kind of have to make it right. So you have to think about things like that when it comes to physical products, right? And I'm kind of speeding through this. I did an entire video on the best business model to go through, but I'm kind of showing you some pros and cons. Now, when it comes to digital products, as I kind of mentioned before, there is some legwork that needs to be done beforehand before you launch a digital product. People need to trust you. People need to understand what it is that you're selling. You need to actually be solving a problem for somebody before you're selling a $300, $400 course to them, or a $20 ebook that they might not read. You have to be able to really solve a problem there. Okay, so that's one. All right, a pro is once you actually get it done, you can sell them into infinity. You're not limited by inventory. There were times where whatever was going on in the government, things like that, tariffs and stuff like that, where our blank hoodies and our blank shirts and stuff like that, our hats were stuck. They were stuck before they got to us, so we can actually get them out to people when people needed to buy them and things like that. So there will always be pros and cons when it comes to physical and digital. Now, a service-based product, right? This is when you're doing something for somebody. Either is you're mowing lawns, you are a plumber, right? You're an exterminator, you're putting on events for people. That takes time and labor, right? But you can also charge a higher ticket for that as well, depending upon what it is that you're doing for people. So if you are a plumber, like, let's say, you can charge a little bit more because people need, their toilet is clogged up or something like that. They need that problem solved now. Okay, so you want to think about what it is that you do. I'm going to show you a cool way to kind of think about this. Okay, hold on. Let's see if we can see it. All right, cool. So this is what I want. This is what I kind of want you to do, right? Let's do this one. Is it this one? Yes. All right. So let's do this. All right. So when you think about like what you're gonna sell, think about like what makes money, right? What makes money in this circle, right? Think about what you are good at, like what skills you have. So let's put skills here, right? Right. So try to get those to meet. And okay, as we talked about at the beginning of this video, you might have time restrictions. You might have a job. You might have, kids. You might have other responsibilities that you can't lend. And I'm sorry for my handwriting, that you can't lend all of your time to this business, right? So you have to think about your time as well. And your business is going to be, what you sell is going to be somewhere in the middle here. All right. So if you are able to kind of think about what would make some money, right? Think about what people want, what problem you can solve, what skills you already have that you can transfer to that business, and what what fits your lifestyle, what would fit the time you have in your life. If you can only work, a few hours a week, what would that look like for you? Because you don't want to burn yourself out. That's a lot of reason why people stop their business, because they overpromise. They think about all of these amazing things, all this money they're going to make, and then they burn out before they even actually get to, maybe $1,000 earned, because they're already, like, emotionally they're spent. So think about, and then they think about, something that makes money. They might think of something that they have the time to do, but they have no idea how to do it. They have no skill set. And you listen to, big entrepreneurs, and they say stuff like, well, hire somebody smarter than you. But who you hiring with what money, right? Who's going to want to partner with somebody who doesn't have the time to do anything, and they're going to end up doing all the work because they have all the technical know-how? It's not really a recipe for success, right? I'll say that. So I'll just show it again, right? So think about what would make money, think about what skills you already have, and think about the time that you can allot to this business. All right? Very simple. Now, before we even get to that, now you have to think about, what problem can you solve for your customer? Okay? Now, people mess up because they think about what they can sell. They think about what they can sell that they like, right? Or that they think people will like, right? And you see this all the time in people who sell t-shirts, or they want to start a t-shirt line, right? So they start a t-shirt line and they have their personal logo on it, right? They have their logo or a saying that they love or that means something to them. And then they wonder why strangers don't buy it. Family members and things like that, they might buy it. They might show support, like, hey, this is nice. But why would a stranger want to buy that shirt with your logo on it when you kind of mean nothing to them? If you are a stranger, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but if you are a stranger, you have to think about what people would like. So if you're going to start a t-shirt line, my recommendation is to always try to start with custom shirts. Custom, like, and this is, I'm kind of speaking from a sort of not privileged position, because we were able to get our own printing, like shirt heat presses, vinyl cutters, and stuff like that. We paid for them, we didn't get them, we paid for them. So I'm not saying we're privileged in that sense, but because we had the equipment in house, we were able to start with designs that we just kind of were able to test. Me and my dad, we would come on our podcast, and every week we would have a new design on, right? He would have a design on, I would have a design on. We would, go at it, with our audience and things like that, and ask them whose design is better, right? And they would say, oh, Malcolm's design is better. Or they say, that's design. So then we would go back after the show and say, okay, let's make more of those shirts. That one was a dud. People weren't really feeling that one. Let's go that way. And then we were able to promote that shirt. And then we had a tested concept, a tested idea that people actually wanted this thing. So when you're thinking about what to sell, think about what people want. And if you have a way to actually test that, that's even better. So our way to test that was our podcast. That was our content. That was our business engine, because we had an audience that we were building. We had a direct audience we could sell to, and we had a direct audience that we could test our ideas with in real time, because we went live. It's another reason why I'm going live, because this is a side note, I'm just kind of more comfortable going live than I am pre-recording for some reason. I don't know. I think it's because, me and my pops, we did 520 podcast episodes, another 100 or so live after shows, another 100 or so live pre-shows and stuff like that. So I'm just really comfortable live. But whatever it is that you're comfortable with doing, if that is writing, if that is going live on TikTok, if that is going live on Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, or just posting there, posting your ideas, you have to, and that goes into what I'm about to, really talk about. You have to be able to get your product and your brand in front of people that are not friends and family. I cannot stress that enough. Okay. If you're only thinking about friends and family, when it comes to promoting your product, you are going to really, really struggle because that is not how business is run. Okay. Just going to put that out there. All right. Peace. What's good, people? What's good, people? Okay. So, now let's get to what I was talking about before. So, the 5 pillars when it comes to building an online business, right? So we think we kind of understand what to sell, right? We're going to figure out what makes money, what I have skills in already. I don't have to be an expert, but what I have some skills in already, and what I can dedicate some time and effort to, right? Somewhere in the middle of there is where you can make some money. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the 5 pillars of building an online business. Okay. So the first pillar, I just kind of touched on it a little bit, is audience. Audience is super important because if you have nobody to sell your stuff to, you don't have a business. I speak to people all the time who have a business. They've, got a few sales here and there, and then here and there. And they come to me and ask me, "Hey Malcolm, I need more sales. How do I do that?" I go, "Okay, bet. How are you promoting your business? How are you marketing?" "Well, I post on Facebook and Instagram here and there." I'm being facetious. They won't say here and there, but they'll say, "I'm posting on Facebook and Instagram," and I thought I thought social media was the great equalizer. Right? I thought social media was supposed to help. I go, "Okay, cool." But when it comes to social media, your Facebook, your Instagram, those are people who are usually following you because, they're your friends and your family. What you need to do is create an organic content engine. That could be TikTok, right? That could be YouTube. I think YouTube is great. A stranger can see this video and go, "I like him. I want to work with him," and hopefully I want to buy something from him, right? So that's something. Instagram, again, is fine, but people try to cater too much towards the people they already know. And most times, 9 times out of 10, the people you already know is not your ideal audience. You're not trying to solve their problems. You're trying to solve a specific problem for a specific person. So think about who that person is, right? If they're a homeowner and you are selling a product or service directly for homeowners, so what problems do they have? Like, what could you say that would spark something in a homeowner's mind and go, "Okay, I need that," right? "I need to work with him because he understands this problem per se," right? So think about who it is that you're serving and really zero in on that, right? So again, my audience right now, right? Aspiring entrepreneurs, but people who might have other responsibilities. They might have a full-time job. They might have kids. I have kids. I have a full-time job. So I can speak to that a little bit better than somebody else. And I ran a 7-figure business, right? So I can speak to those aspirations and those problems that people may have a little bit better than somebody else. So think about what that could be for you, right? And who your audience is. So think about who your audience is, and you need to build that. And this is where it comes into what I was talking about, setting realistic goals. Building an audience takes time. It just does. And I'll be completely honest with you. I got spoiled, right? Because I was on a pretty successful podcast with my dad, and we were going twice a week, and our episodes wouldn't do less than 20,000 views per episode, right? Like that was just like regular for us. And then when I started my own, channel over here about business content, like I'm like struggle to build that audience back up. But that's okay, right? Because you want people who are there for what you want to sell, right? So I could very easily have done this content on that channel and people would have probably seen it because they subscribe. We have like 65,000 subscribers and they would see it. They probably show love and things like that, but they're not the audience that I'm trying to serve, right? I serve when we're on Urban X. That's the audience we're trying to serve for that. Like they want that content. And over here, the content I'm trying to the audience I'm trying to build are people who are into business, people who are into self-development, or people who into books because I love reading books, people who are into just trying to become the best version of themselves. That's why I call this channel the School of Excellence, because that's what I am obsessed with, right? I've always been obsessed with that. So that's why I'm on this channel, not because me and my dad are beefing. I was just on the phone with my dad, but because this is the audience that I'm trying to cater over here. And he understands, he understands that better than anybody, right? So your audience is your first pillar. I went on a long rant with that one, but it's really important, okay? I just did a video last week about the 1,000 true fans concept that Kevin Kelly, he wrote this concept that if you have 1,000 true fans, that you will be able to make a living. I didn't say be rich, but you will be able to make a living if you kind of just serve those people. Now, what you want to do is you want to compound those numbers, be 2,000 true fans, 3,000 true fans, people who will buy from you no matter what, because they believe in your message, they believe in your values, and they believe in your product. And most of all, they believe in you. So that's what you want to start with, all right? So the second pillar is the offer. This, I'm not going to lie to you, this confused me for a long time because I thought the offer was the stuff, right? So hold on, I'm going to show this for you. So I thought the offer, right, was the thing over here, right? Plus this, plus this, plus this, like all bonuses, right? Bonuses, extra pieces, like more time from us. And like when me and my pops, when we did our membership, the reason why I believe we ran ourselves into the ground is because we were thinking about offers, like I said, as stuff, right? So instead of just just providing extra content, extra community, extra sense of exclusivity, we were saying like, yo, we could add 4 more shows here, we could add more discounts here, we could add this, and we were just running ourselves into the ground. And that's not what an offer is. An offer is, like, simply put, very simply put, is how to get a person from point A to point B. Point A is the problem. Point B is the solution. I'm sorry for my handwriting again. Don't judge me. But that's all an offer is. Your offer is this right here. That's your offer. That's your offer. That's all it is, right? So I told this story before that I had a coaching offer, right? How to help people start businesses with their family. I ran a family business for years, right? Like I just said, I've been talking about it the entire time, right? And I saw a lot of people in our audience on our podcast who said, I would love to start a business with my family. I just don't know what to do, how to start, right? So I said, bet. I had a coaching program kind of formulated, right? But my offer, again, I just thought was the stuff. So I was offering a bunch of course material, 30, 8 different courses, and you take this, you do this, do this, and it scared people off. And I didn't know how to articulate, again, this is the issue that they have. This is how it can be solved. And instead, I thought the offer was all of the course videos and stuff like that, because I was thinking, very like, linear. Like, when people want to pay a lot of money for something, they want a lot of stuff in return. And that's not usually the case. When people have a big enough problem, they will spend a lot of money to get that solved, if you can solve it, especially if you can get it solved fast, right? So I had a coaching product that was, I think, $5,000, right? And I got on the phone like close to selling it to at least 4 people, at least, right, in a month span. So I could have made $20,000 that month, but I couldn't get over the hump. And I truly believe it's because I didn't articulate the offer. I didn't have a solid enough offer. I just had a lot of stuff. I just had courses, and I just had stuff, but I didn't articulate the offer in my opinion well enough. And it wasn't until I did I was actually able to sell that offer to people, because I said, I downplayed the course material, and I said, this is what I'm going to teach. I'm going to teach you these things, these principles, and I'm going to show you one, like, step by step, and I'm going to work with you one on one to do that. And people kind of got it, like, okay, he's going to, I don't have to, I don't have to have my family, because the way I kind of articulated it was that, like, you needed to have all your family on board to start this business, or it's not going to work, or you're going to need to do a certain type of business for it to work. Because I was thinking about how we made it work. We did a podcast, we printed shirts, we did a membership. So I was just kind of thinking from those areas. And some people, they didn't want to do any of those things, but they still wanted the business. So I had to be flexible and how I wanted to teach it and how I wanted to help people. And that was the only way I was able to kind of sell that offer. Okay. So, yeah. So your offer is very important. Think about how you can, and you don't have to overthink it. You don't have to overthink it, right? If you are mowing lawns, hey, I can mow your lawn, in 30 minutes. I can mow your entire lawn in 30 minutes. Oh, snap, right? Somebody who don't want to mow lawns, I don't want to mow lawns. Oh, snap, bet here. Or I'll mow your lawn, and I'll put in I'll spray weed killer around as well. That's something extra that will help me. It's not just you're not just mowing lawns and painting houses. That's something extra that will help me with this actual problem that I'm having. You get what I'm saying? So that is what an offer is. And if you want a great book on how to build an offer, I have a book right here. It's called $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. Really good book. Check that out. Okay. Now, okay, pillar 3, your sales system. Okay. Starting out, I believe I believe you should make this as simple as possible. Okay. So you may be, if you're online and you see these, these fancy softwares, these fancy funnels and stuff like that, and you might be enticed to, buy these softwares and stuff. I say personally, starting out, try to be face to face, not face to face, but try to be as personal as possible with the people that you're trying to sell to. Okay. So that means that could be DM conversations with people. That can mean Zoom calls with people. That can mean phone calls with people to close a sale. Your email list, right? Try to be as simple as possible without making everything too sexy too soon, because once that happens, you add complexity to your process. Things get lost. People get frustrated because all they want to do. You ever go to a website and then not know how to buy something because the website is so confusing? It's just so much stuff. You just like, bro, how do I book a call with this? Like, how do I, ordered this thing already? Because it's so many different bells and whistles to the website, and you don't know where to go. There's no clear shop. If you have a website, make it simple. Make everything on the first page. Like, if your About Me page, make it on another page, because people don't care about you. They care about what you can do for them. They care about the problem, the offer that you are solving for them. Okay. So make it as simple as possible. All right. A simple funnel. So a funnel, you guys have seen a funnel, right? Hold on. I'm sure you guys have seen a funnel before. It's, it's wide up top, right? Then it gets smaller down the bottom, right? That's a funnel, right? Now, when it comes to an online business, the funnel structure is this, right? This is a cold audience, people who don't know you, right? People who may have a problem, they don't really know you though, right? Then it's warm. These are people who are problem aware. They're problem aware, and they're still unsure of you though. They're problem aware. They know they have a problem. They know they want it solved, but they're still unsure about you specifically or your methods, where whatever it is they may be. And then at the bottom, hot, right? These are your customers, people who buy from you, right? These are the people who have, watched a bunch of your content. These are people who have read your emails. These are people who have listened to your podcast and say, okay, I know this person can solve my problem. Okay. So this is a simple funnel, right? So you don't need a a sales page, a upsell, a downsell, a tripwire. You don't need any of that stuff. All you need to do is to be able to get a lead, right? Get a lead, nurture that lead, and then convert. The nurture part is very important. This is where, again, you're just giving. You're giving information. You're giving value. You're showing people how you work. You're showing testimonials if you have them. This is how you nurture a lead, and then you convert at the bottom. Many times people even want to skip getting the lead and they just want to, get money, make the sale, right? That's not how businesses run. That's not how successful businesses are run. Like, especially if you want to have longevity in your business, that's not how it's run. You want to be able to build a connection, again, build that audience, build that tribe of true fans, and then sell to them. Okay. So simple funnel. Like, if you can offer a free consultation, if you can offer a free download, which I have a free downloadable, it's in the description below, on how to build a part-time business, start a kit. It's in the description below. But then you get people on an email list and you just provide value. And then if their problem, it gets to the point where they need to get it solved, then you are able to do so. Okay? Because you provided value up front. It's a very simple funnel. Don't do too much off the back, right? And once you are able to get a lot of flow through, then you're able to automate some of those processes, and you can sign up for the the softwares like Squarespace, Kajabi, ClickFunnels, whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is that you like. I'm not going to recommend any of them because I think they all work for who they need to work for. Like, I think they all do the kind of same job. It's just a matter of preference when it comes to those softwares. Okay. Now, the fourth pillar, I'm keeping track. The fourth pillar is fulfillment and delivery, right? How are you going to fulfill on the offer it is, the offer or the problem is that you're solving? If you sell a book, how do you fulfill it? You just put it in the mail, or is it an ebook? Do you send it to their email address, or is it like it's mowing lawns? You need to actually go to the person's house. How do you schedule it? What services do you use? Do you use Google Calendars? Do you use Calendly? Do you use Zoom to do your consultations with somebody? Just kind of figure out, again, a simple skeleton framework for how you fulfill and deliver upon what it is that you sell. I've bought like books from like huge people, like they have millions of subscribers, fans, and stuff like that. And I've had to wait upwards to like 3 weeks to get my book. Right now, you could say it's because they're dealing with so much and stuff like that. No, Amazon to get you your stuff in a day and a half, right? So you can't have it both ways. You can't have super long waiting times, or and say it's because you don't have enough help, or say Amazon is super fast because they have all the help. Even if that is the case, reach out to me, right? I'm a customer. Let me know, hey, there's a delay in your order for so and so reason, because people get mad when it comes to customer service. People get upset when they feel like they're being ignored, right? So I felt like I was being ignored. I'm like, what the hell? Like, it takes 3 weeks to send a book, right? It shouldn't. But all you had to do was the person would have had to do is have somebody email, me and say, hey, here's your order. Or just send me my tracking number. I had to wait a week for my tracking number. I thought, my purchase didn't go through, right? So you want to make sure you have that down pat. When on let's say in us when we had delays in our delivery process, let's say we reached out to the person. There are a couple times we actually called the person like, hey, we got your order. The shirt is right here. We just needed this. We were waiting on this color hoodie to come in before we even made your other hoodie. So we have it here. That's the wait. This is why it's taking so long. And they understood it and they loved that. And I'm gonna do a quick tip. If you have to deal with something like that, give them a little something extra, maybe a shirt, something like that. We would give a book, we would give extra hat or something like that, and just to as a show of good faith, like, hey, we understand we're messing up, but this is what it is. The same thing when it comes to a service and stuff like that. If you can go and make that experience extra special for somebody, then what you have a customer, but you may also have, and it's not always, but you may also have an advocate for somebody else. Now somebody else might need the same problem, and they go, yo, I just worked with so and so, he was great or she was great, and that happened because you gave excellent service. So, and that's because you understood what your fulfillment and delivery process was. Okay. And 5, this is the 5th pillar. It's the most important. This is what people get tripped up at, and that is consistency and discipline, not falling for the shiny object syndrome. And that's very hard when, especially being on the internet, because it's everywhere. Like, every time I go on the internet, there is a person saying, "Oh, this is the new way to make money, guaranteed," or "No, this is the new way to make money, guaranteed." And once you just kind of step away from all of that and just run your race at your pace, you know what I mean? You do what you need to do. You put one foot ahead of the other. Then you see there's a lot of different ways to make money. There are people who literally, I've seen some ugly websites, for some businesses, but they making $5 million a year because they know who their customer is. They know how to fulfill. They know their offer is really strong, and they give great customer service, but they don't need a fancy website, right? And it's because they're consistent and they're disciplined in what they're doing. They're not looking over here, they're not looking over there. They're looking straight through and building their business consistently and with discipline. All right. So what you want to do to help this, right? And what's helped me is you stack small wins, right? And the small wins can be as simple as putting up a piece of content, okay? Sending an email to your list, right? If you are trying to get in shape or something like that, a simple win is getting out. Your run this morning, like my run yesterday was trash, but I got out there. You know what I mean? I was laboring through. I was tired, but I got out there. I woke up. I fought the inner voice in my head that was saying, "Yo, just lay down a little longer," and I got out there. So that was me stacking a small win, right? What is stacking a small win for you? Is that reaching out to 10 people, right? Is that posting a piece of content? Is that creating a new design for something, writing 10 pages in the book that you're trying to write? Is that going live, right? Is that hitting record and just creating your audio podcast? What is that small win for you? And don't think too much, don't think too ahead in the future. You want to be forward planning, but don't put yourself all the way there when you need to be present and being disciplined and consistent. Okay. So what you want to do is, and this is outside of the 5 pillars of an online business, right? You want to think about what could be your a realistic timeline for yourself, right? And I just recently did another video a few weeks ago, talking about adding a year to what you thought your goal was. Okay, so you might think, you're in a year I can make 100,000 in my business. Add another year to that and think about what that could free up. One, that frees up a lot of pressure from you, right? Now you could be a little bit more creative. You could take a few more chances in how you want to build a business and things like that. So what you want to do is add a year. I think so. And you might think that's a long time, but the time is moving anyway. The time is going to go past anyway. And you never see that so much so when it comes until like people when graduation comes around, right? when graduation season comes around and somebody got their masters, he's like, damn, that's what's up. You know, because I was thinking about like when I was in college, I was like, I'm not going to school. It's gonna take an extra 2 years. And the 2 years went by, and then a bunch of people that I went to school with graduated with their masters. And I'm like, damn, the time went by anyway. And they were doing something productive with it. Even I was doing something productive as well. But the time went by anyway. So it is what you fill that time with that matters the most. You get what I'm saying? So think about that. Add extra year to your goals. Okay. Think about the 5 pillars when it comes to building an online business. Okay. That is, let me get it again. That is building your audience, having a great offer that solves a problem, not the extra stuff, but that solves a problem. Okay. Having a good sales system, right? Having a way people can reach you, an easy, simple way people can reach you to give you money. Okay. A fulfillment and delivery. This is where you don't want to be called, one of these charlatans that's online, one of these scammers that's online, because you're able to deliver on your promise. You're able to deliver on your offer. Okay. And 5, discipline and consistency. It goes a long way when it comes to building a business. As I mentioned, me and my dad, we did over 520 live podcast episodes. And if we would have started out with the goal of reaching episode 500, we probably wouldn't have got there. But we just did one show after the other. I remember after show 50, we walked away from the show and somebody said, yo, nah, y'all got to retire at show 300. That sound nuts to me. I'm like, show 300? Like, that is, damn, what? No way. And then we got to show 300. And then we did another 100 shows. We did the show 400. And then we did another 100 shows. We went to show 500. So, as I mentioned before, if we would have like thought about every one of those, if we would have thought about reaching that end goal over show 500, we wouldn't have gone there. We would have been burnt out. We would have been exhausted. When I wrote my book, right? Where's my book? Right, when I wrote my book, if I would have, when I thought about, I didn't know how long I wanted it to be, but when I started on page 1, right, if I would have thought about writing 60,000 words, because that's how long I think this is, 60,000 words. If I would have thought about word 60,000, right, I wouldn't have got there. But I just, one day at a time, a few pages. Sometimes they weren't good pages. Sometimes they were amazing pages. And I said, I'm gonna clean this up when I get to the editing process, because that's a whole nother story. But, and if you want me to talk about, the book writing process, I can do that as well. But you got to just one day at a time, right? Chop wood one day at a time, and you'll see the amazing results that come from that. Okay. So thank you for joining me here tonight. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll tackle them on another live on another day. If you want to be able to start your own part-time business, as I mentioned before, I have a free guide in the comments below. My part-time business starter kit, completely free. All you need is an email. You can go get it, and I will see you on the next one. Subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. All right. Peace.